Y'all want to hear a funny story? Let me tell you a funny story. I'm sitting here working on my blocks that I started last week and did not get finished for tonight's live stream, but am really doggone close to having them done so that we can put this quilt together. Talk more about that in just a moment. But I literally hit my go button over here to start my live stream. And I'm talking. I'm like, hey guys, it's Friday night. I didn't get caught up on my blocks. I'm really happy to be here. Da 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 da. And I was like, let's take a look and see who's in the chat. And I'm seeing people go, is Becca late? Where's Becca? Where's Becca? Where's Becca? And I went, oh, crud. I had my software set to record, not stream. And so I was recording a video, not streaming it. But here I am now. So if you're curious why I was late, that's why. Hey friends, happy Friday night. If you're new around here, my name is Becca. Every Friday night I go live at 8 o'clock Eastern time, with the exception of a couple of Fridays throughout the year. And we just sit here for a couple hours. We have a lovely chat. I try to pay attention to the chat and respond to some of the comments that are in there. And I just work on a project and I show you what I'm doing as I go along. Sometimes I make mistakes. Sometimes it doesn't turn out the way I think it's going to turn out. And sometimes it's absolutely wonderful. And sometimes I just have to walk away. So you never know what you're going to get here. But I promise you, you'll have some good company. So what am I doing? Well, if you were here last week, you saw that I wanted to make one of those granny square quilts. And I decided to follow the Missouri Star Turnabout granny square pattern. And essentially what you do is you take some 2.5-inch strips and you make some 4-patch blocks, which means you're going to have a bunch of blocks that are going to have 4 rows across and 4 columns down. No, 4 rows and 4 columns. Yeah, that way. But you know what I mean. 4 times 4 is 16. The unique thing here, if you go and watch their tutorial or you go back and watch my live stream from last week, is the placement of some white squares in that 4-patch. Well, 16-patch, sorry. When you're making your 4x4 block, you're going to use 4 white squares and you're going to put them in a diagonal. So like you're playing Connect 4. And after your 16 patches sewn together, you're going to cut it on that 45-degree angle right on those whites. And then you're going to take 4 triangles. So you'll need 2 blocks to make one granny square block. And you're going to put them together to make a block that looks like this. The quilt that I'm making requires 20 of these. I think I have 20, but truthfully, I'm just going to sew up all of my blocks and we'll figure out what I need to do with the rest of them. Yeah. So the fabric that I'm working with, this is a jelly roll friendly quilt. The fabric that I am working with, excuse me, is Farmer's Daughter by Lella Boutique. And this is a very special fabric line that I absolutely love. I've had a jelly roll of this sitting on my shelves for literally years, and I have not opened it because I don't want, I had a fat quarter bundle of it. I've used it all up. I have some yardage of this in my stash, and I don't want to use it up. So I've been saving that jelly roll for a very special project. Well, a lady by the name of Melissa, who might be here in the chat with us, happened across a local quilt shop where they were hoarding a bunch of Farmer's Daughter themselves. And so she picked up some of the loose fat quarters for me and a jelly roll. So I thought, great, if she gave me, and she sent it to me and all that other stuff, and I reimbursed her for it because that was a lot of fabric she sent to me. So she sent it on, and I thought, well, you know what? If I have been gifted a jelly roll, a Farmer's Daughter, then it's okay for me to cut into one of them and save the other one. So I still have one of these jelly rolls sitting on my shelf, but now I get to make a full quilt with this fabric, and I'm really kind of excited about that. So I am finishing up putting these blocks together, and then I will try, I think, to square them up, and then we'll sew them into a quilt. And I don't know if I'm going to get them all finished tonight. Maybe not, but I'm going to try to get some of the way through. I do think that I will be able to finish it over the course of this weekend. And so what I will likely do is piece it and post photos on social media so you guys can see when it all comes together. So if you're not following me on Instagram, Facebook, all the things, you should probably do that so you can see the quilt top when it's all pieced. Fabric is lovely, isn't it? It is absolutely lovely. I'm going to go to my normal setup so that you guys can see a bit of what I'm doing. Who doesn't like to look at some of the fabric? Don't mind me when I just sit there with my rotary cutter open. You won't get mad at me, right? That's okay. And I'll just put this away too. All right, so I am sewing these together. Let me show you what I'm actually doing. So when I cut my squares into my triangles, I actually went through and laid all of my triangles out to make my blocks. And I tried to pay a little attention to what I was actually doing here so that, let me get this out of the way. Sorry, I am just all over the place today. I tried to pay attention to what I was doing so that I wasn't getting any two fabrics touching one another. Now, some of the blocks actually ended up, just by how I sewed it together, even though I tried, a couple of blocks have two prints that are right next to each other. They're exactly the same, but I'm going to leave it and it's going to be fine. I think I'm going to have more blocks than I need when this is all said and done. And so for that reason, I'm going to leave it the way it is. Let's see, hold on a second. I want to just double check. There we go. Is that good? Yeah, there we go. The audio is probably coming through a little bit better now. So anyway, this is all kind of coming together. Sorry, what was I saying? Yes, I laid them all out and then I kind of stacked them up into piles of 4 and I laid them out kind of in a crisscross thing. You know how when you stack papers, you do that thing where some of them are going one way, some of them are going the other way. That's what I did here. So I have 4 more blocks that I need to sew together. And so that's what I'm doing. As I'm pulling my 4 triangles out, I'm laying them out to make sure that I didn't forget how these were going to go together. And really all I'm looking for is trying, I can't guarantee it, but trying to sew these together so that I don't mess, like I don't make 2 fabrics touch one another. Somebody is asking in the chat, Brenda H is asking, is this a free pattern? I know you can buy the pattern from Missouri Star. So no, however, I will tell you, one of the beautiful things about the Missouri Star videos is if you just watch the video, you don't really need the pattern because they tell you exactly how much fabric you're going to need. They tell you exactly how to do your cutting, and they show, most of their quilts are just the same block over and over and over again, and they show you how to make the block. And so they tell you, I don't think they tell you exactly how many you're going to cut, but you get the idea and you're able to take that and run with it. So I would tell you to get their pattern or just go watch the live stream from last week because I showed you how to make those blocks, or you can go watch the 15-minute Missouri Star tutorial. Yeah, I am too. Somebody asked me, I can't remember, I didn't see the name, but I did see the comment come through. Am I going to keep this quilt? Well, you know, I always have intentions of keeping my quilts until something happens. So my story with that is I feel like every quilt has a forever home. The quilts that I make, they're not always intended to stay with me forever. Sometimes they're just intended to stay with me while I'm making them. Sometimes they are intended to stay with me forever. And sometimes they're just intended to stay until I know where their forever home is. And so I call them foster quilts because I'm just loving them until their real family wants them. I don't have a plan for this one yet. And so I would like to tell you, yeah, I'm keeping this one for me. But the reality is my husband has told me that I can keep quilts, but I have too many quilts on all the surfaces. Like every bed has 3 quilts. The couch has, I have several several quilts in rotation for the couch and the chairs. And it's just getting to the point where I have to start selling them or donating them or just giving them away. So for right now, I have no plans to give this away or to sell it. I do want to keep this one at least for a little while. And the trade-off for that might be that I get rid of another quilt that I have loved for a while and let that go love someone else. In Stitches with Jackie says, I love that. Would you keep it if one of us begs for it? Josh said. Well, why don't we wait until it's quilted before we start calling dibs on it? And then we'll see. We'll see. If somebody absolutely loves it and absolutely has to have it, I'm always a sucker for gifting something that's going to make somebody else happy. So, anywho, how has everybody's week been? How has everybody's week been? I just don't even know where to go with that. So there you go. I hope you all had a fabulous week. I am getting really excited because my stickers for QuiltCon came in. QuiltCon is right around the corner. I cannot wait to go. I cannot wait to take a week off of work, a week away from everything that's just going on in the real world. I just want to check out and be in Phoenix with a bunch of quilty people. So I'm looking forward to getting on that plane and just living vicariously through the quilting world. Well, not vicariously, living and fully immersed in the quilting world for a few days and hope that the world is still spinning when I get back home and nothing's been burned down. Everything's still there. We'll see. Crazy snow in Seattle. Wow. Oh, yeah. So you guys know that both of our mothers are here right now. My mother-in-law is living with us and my mom is visiting for a time, and they both have got the crud. They both have got the crud. Mom it's like she's staying sick with a cold. So she did call into the doctor and she got some antibiotics, but anyway, it'll be what it's going to be. Guess who Nancy says? My husband has been in the hospital 10 days, so we just got home. Well, I'm glad he's home. I hope he's doing better. Oh no, Shelby, I am so sorry. She said I was laid off from my job, so I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen next. I'm still going to QuiltCon. Well, I'll see you at QuiltCon. I'm sorry to hear about your job. Brenda is asking, is your Singer a 301A? No, it is just a 301. I think the 301As were a couple years later. This is a 1951 Singer 301. Susan says, I kind of feel the same way. One of the guilds I belong to is going to donate quilts to a lady to send to SoCal for families who lost everything. I am letting go of a couple of my quilts. Ooh, that's a great idea, Susan. I bet I could part with a couple. Might look up some charities to donate that to. I know So Yeah always does a quilt drive for Alaska in the summertime when they go up and do their annual Alaska trip. And so I kind of have had in the back of my head that that could be a place where I donate some of my gently used quilts to. Sandra says, I have had the bad crud for a month. I haven't been that ill since the doc tried to kill me in a botched surgery. Oh my goodness, Sandra, I'm so sorry about that. And I hope you're on the mend soon. Shelby says, well, on the plus side, now I have more time to do more quilting. I mean, there is that. That is the way to look at the bright side. I always say, there's always a bright side, even if you have to shovel a pile of manure to get to it. There's always a bright side. You just have to hunt it down sometimes. Ooh, Lori said she's been sick on and off since mid-January. Yeah, if you guys are following the news at all, I know you know that I work in the DC area. And so for those of you that are probably wondering, am I impacted by any of the furloughs or layoffs or agencies that have closed or any of that other stuff? No, not yet, but you know, they're not done doing all the things that they're going to do. So there could be an impact down the road. Don't know what that is. I'm not worrying about it because that will rob me of my joy. So right now we're just taking it day by day and we'll see where we go. The only impact that I have right now is based on the executive orders that were signed. I do have to go into the office every day, which that's not a problem. Listen, I grew up working in the office like that. That was fine. Was it nice to be able to telework when I had appointments or had to take care of the family? Absolutely. It absolutely was. I was very productive doing that. Like I was in front of the computer working the entire time. So I don't buy into the stereotype that teleworkers aren't working. But you know, there is a benefit to working in the office with your coworkers because you get some of that synergy that you just don't get in person. I never worked full-time remote. Like it was always hybrid. And so I would get the benefit of being in the office with them 3 days a week and then 1 or 2 days a week. Well, 3 or 4 days a week I would be in the office and then 1 or 2 days a week I would telework. But that's gone away. So on to new chapters. Janice says, I have been quilting for 30 plus years. Today, I gave 24 quilts to hospice. I feel unburdened now, and I have room to make more. I love that, Janice. Shelley Clark says, teleworks work harder because there is no chit chat. You know, when I was teleworking, because that is no longer a thing for me, when I was teleworking, I actually found that I would start my day earlier because I didn't have to get up, take a shower, put on my work clothes, and then drive the half an hour, 45 minutes into the office. So as soon as I woke up, I would log in, and then I would stay logged in and working until probably about 6 or so. So I would work from like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. just trying to get everything done. But I would take time to decompress around 12 o'clock to actually go get a lunch and eat my lunch, although it was usually sitting at my desk eating it. But I would work about 8 to 6. And then occasionally, especially if there was a lot of stuff going on, I would boot up the computer in the evening just to check out my email and make sure there was nothing lingering that I needed to take care of. So in one way, I'm actually kind of happy that all of my work must be done in the office because now that means when I'm home in the evenings, it's my time. I'm not working because I can't. So there you go. Let's see. Auntie Carol says, I got my featherweight back from the repair shop. He texted me and said it was back from the dead. Ooh, I smell a special reunion. I'm going to just change those two around. I love that. Oh, so pretty. So pretty. This fabric just, what do the kids say? It's sending me. And I don't even think I used that word the right way. So, you know, whatever. Da, 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 da. Becca was just able to stop in. Interesting conversation. I'm glad you're okay. You have a job. Absolutely. For right now, I still have a job. And so that's what I'm looking at. Like if the worst thing that's happening to me right now is I have to do that job from the office, fine. Okay. I'm not going to complain about that. There are a lot of others that are not in that situation right now, and that might be where I am in the near or not too distant future, but we're going to take it one day at a time. Hello from Scotland, Karen Ann says. Sandra says, I love this, Becca. I love the block too, and I love all of it. I wish Ian was with you. We have so many laughs with the both of you. Yeah, I know. But the problem with Ian being here, like on Sunday, we don't want him to be here every single Friday, like, right? Like, I mean, I know you probably do, but this is the So Becca channel. And if I can't do content without Ian around, then we might as well call this the Becca and Ian channel. I like the idea of being able to create my own content and do my own thing. I know it's not as entertaining because he is a lot of fun, but he also deserves to be able to have his own life too. So he's at home doing his own thing tonight. I don't even know if he's going to be able to check into the chat, but maybe he will join me after we get back from QuiltCon for a live stream so that we can recap what QuiltCon was like together. Or maybe we'll do that in a podcast episode. I had not planned, in fact, I know I won't. I'm not going to be doing a live stream from QuiltCon. I've just got so much stuff that I'm going to be doing with other people. I want to prioritize my time with the people that I meet and get to hang out with. So I'm not going to do any live stream content, but I will be taking lots of photos and recording lots of video clips, and I'll do a lovely recap video for you when I get back. Heather says, you're plenty entertaining all by yourself. You know, and I know that whoever said that, I don't remember who it was. I know that they weren't like, oh, I don't like you by yourself. I know that's not what they intended. So I did not take it any other way other than Ian and you together are a lot of fun to watch. And I would agree with that. Oh, this block is going to be so pretty. And then I have one more to make. I only have one more to make. And then I can square them up and start putting my quilt together. Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Will you put your completed block on your cutter pillar so I can see it? Yes, absolutely. I'll put a block over here so that you can see what I'm making. There you go. I am definitely a talker. Yes, Joyce, that is right. When that camera turns on, I just yab and yab and yab. I don't have a problem talking nonstop. Hello, Katie. Da-dum, da-da, da-da. I feel like after I piece these blocks together, I need to starch the living daylights out of them because all four sides of this block are bias edges because we cut it on the diagonal, and I just don't want any waviness. I don't want any of that. And so I'm starching it to get it to lay really super flat. And I'm just going to put my pile of blocks over here. I'm going to make one more. I have one more. Ba-dum-bum-ba. Well, folks, I'm not feeling sociable tonight, so I will bid you all farewell for now. Bye, Becca and everybody. See you later, Mary. I'll call you tomorrow. We can catch up tomorrow after guild meeting. So Ian has joined the Modern Quilt Guild, the DC Modern Quilt Guild, and they have a meeting tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. And he's asked me if I want to go with him. And I told him, you know what, why not? Finally, there's a guild that meets on the on the weekends that I could actually prioritize going to, because I don't always feel like going in the evening during the week. So I'm going to go with him tomorrow morning. We'll see how this turns out. But I'll call you after guild. Try to have Tiffany on with you if you do a recap of QuiltCon. That would be great. You are very informative and great to spend time with and very funny. If not, we would not be watching. I appreciate that. We will see. I think Tiffany will likely still do her Sunday Sew Sunday. Last year, she did her Sew Sunday while we were at QuiltCon, and so Ian and I joined her for that, and I think that'll probably be what ends up happening again. So if you're not already following Tiffany's Quilting Life on YouTube, I think !Tiff in the chat will get that for you. And then you'll get to see the three of us on her channel probably the weekend of QuiltCon. Did this block start out as another block and you cut it up? Can you show the original block? No, I can't, because I don't have the original block anymore. Sorry, Arlene. I've cut them all up. But if you go back and watch the video from last week, I show you exactly what I did. I also link in that video, as well as this one, description box down below, the link to the tutorial from Missouri Star that I found, so it can walk you through all of that. Essentially what I did is I took a jelly roll and I made some strip sets. And then some strip sets of 4, right? Some of them had a white on the outside and some of them had a white in the second position down. And then I just subcut those into 2.5-inch pieces and I put them together so that essentially what I was making, you could do this without strip sets if you wanted to, was a 16 patch. 4 rows of 4 with a white square going diagonally. And then once that was sewn together, I cut it on the diagonal. And then once it was cut on the diagonal, every one of those blocks gave me 2 triangles. I took 4 triangles to make one of these blocks. And this is the last one that I have to sew together. So once this is pressed, then I can start trying to put my quilt together. This is kind of where I wanted to start the live stream at tonight. Oh, Melody, thank you so much for the tip. That'll get me a nice coffee at the airport in a week or so. Appreciate that. Looks like the chat is talking about prayers for Joy, but I've already missed what's happening with her. So just condolences, prayers, special thoughts for Joy, whatever you're going through. Da 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 da. I want this block flat. Arlene says, oh, okay, I get it. Very clever. No problem. Now, I mentioned this earlier, Arlene, when I sew these together, I am going to lose the points around the outside of these blocks because there's not a 1/4-inch seam allowance there, but that's how the pattern is designed. I reserved my parking at the convention center today, so I'm really excited about that. Okay, now this quilt only needs 20 of these blocks, so I'm just going to kind of leaf through and pick out my 20 favorite. What I really am going to prioritize, I'm actually going to be looking at the camera when I do this. I'm going to try to prioritize picking blocks that don't have 2 colors next to each other or 2 prints next to each other. I have way more than 24 or 20. I think I have like 24 or 26 or something. So this is a good contender. I like how that looks in the camera. I like how this one looks in the camera. No, I got 2 blacks here. So I'm going to set that aside to grab later if I need it. Here's another one. This is a nice scrappy contender, so that's 2. Crystal said, this is truly amazing. You're doing the same block that I'm doing right now. I've got 2 of the same right here, so I'm going to set that aside. I want to prioritize the really scrappy blocks for this. That's a good one. Like that. I like this one. It's nice too. Although I have got these 2 together, I will leave it for now. It's not 2 of the same. Yeah. So pretty. I'm just loving seeing all these blocks as they've come together. There's lots of black touching each other in this one, so I'm going to set that one aside unless I need it. I don't think I will. This has got a pleat in the piecing, so I'll set that aside. I'll grab it if I need it. I have enough to be a little picky. I'm not sure I love this, but we'll leave it. They're not the same. They're just both low volumes touching each other. In fact, I will just set that over here and we'll pick the best of the best from over there. These are the ones that I don't want this one. This has 3 touching. I ran out of triangles on that block. Ooh, I do love this one. Lots of visual interest going on. Love it. I love it! I don't know if I love that. Put it in the maybe pile. Ooh, I love it! I love it. Okay, I only need 20, so let's count, see if I have 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I need to pick 5 more. Let's pick 5 that are, so this one doesn't have any of the 2 fabrics touching. Why did I say, oh, because these 2 were 2 low volumes. I think we'll pick that one. That's 1. That was black, black, black. I didn't like that. This one's okay. That's 2. I had 2 of the same here. I didn't want that. That's 3. I need 2 more. We'll do 4 and 5. There we go. I don't love these 2 blacks on the end. Let me just see. Do I love that better than this? I don't know. I don't know. I'm looking in the camera to see how they register. I think it'll be fine. It's 2 different fabrics. They're just both dark. Okay, so I have 4 left over. So I had 24 blocks altogether. Bill says, if y'all see a dude in So Becca merch schlepping a flowery backpack, come say hey and I'll find Becca for you. Karen is saying, when you use Best Press, will it not shrink your blocks? Yes, it probably will, but that's okay. I would rather have the blocks measure a bit smaller than what they would have needed to be than to have all that flimsiness and floppiness. So I'm okay with that. In fact, I'm going to try to square all of these up right now. So you're going to see me do this. And as I'm doing it, oh, no, I'm not, because I don't have a square enough ruler big enough. So we're just going to make it work, guys. We're just going to make it work. What is this block measure at? It's 11 It's 11 inches squared, and it's a little shy of 11, so it's fine. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'm going to grab some of my white strips, and I'm just going to start sewing them. I'm going to make 5 rows of 4 with a 2.5 inch piece of that background in between. But because I've starched my blocks and now all of my fabric is starched, I'm going to take the time to starch a few of these strips before I sew them in. And I'm going to do this not the quote unquote right way. So typically when you are sewing your sashing in, you are supposed to cut it to the size of your block. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to sew them the way that they are. I'm going to attach them to the strip, and I will cut the strip to be the size of the block. It might add a bit of fullness to my quilt, but I'm the one quilting it, and so if I want to make that decision and deal with that problem, that's on me. I'm not forcing anybody else to deal with my sloppiness. Even if the squares are a little smaller, it's still going to be perfect. I agree. It's going to be beautiful. I can't wait to get it on the long arm. But I have a quilt loaded on the long arm that's taking me forever to quilt because I'm custom quilting it. So it's going to have to go on the rack and wait to be quilted until I get my Atomic Starburst quilt done. So I should probably finish that up. Okay, there's one. Oh, Crystal said her blocks are 11.5 inches squared, not including the sashing. Interesting. It may, like, I don't think I lost a 1/2 inch from starching, but when you take into account everybody's seam allowance and like I starched after I cut because I was using a jelly roll and I didn't starch the strip. So you never know what kind of wonkiness I have going on in the block because of how I've done it a little bit differently. Terry says, no quilt police here. Do it your way. That's right. That's right. Could be the seam allowance. I agree, Shelley. Good night, Melody. Have a yummy dinner. I'm just going to starch a few strips to start with. That'll get me to the point where I can start making my rows. Probably I'm going to do 3 to begin with. It doesn't matter to me. If you lost anything, I'd still buy it. Oh, thank you, Crystal. She says, I like yours the smaller way. I have forgot. Oh my goodness, it's just been a whole day. You guys know what I forgot to do today? I forgot to draw the winner for my Puzzle Mystery Quilt giveaway that Cotton Cuts is doing in honor of my birthday this week. And you know what that means? You still have time to sign up. So if you go over to my website, sewbecca.com, if you have not signed up for the birthday giveaway, there is a link right at the top of the page that says, enter the birthday giveaway. Right there, click on the link, fill out the form because it says that I'm going to pick a winner today. Obviously, I did not do that, so I will be picking a winner after the live stream, and I will email them and Cotton Cuts tomorrow because you know what happened today? That's right, Flyway shipped. Flyway shipped out. So I want to get you in touch with Cotton Cuts so you can pick your colorway and get your quilt kit. How was my birthday? Well, I asked for it to be postponed. I had a lovely dinner with my family, but there's just so much stuff happening right now that I wasn't really in a celebratory mood. And so instead of doing anything big. We just went to dinner, and my husband had not bought my gift yet. I told him this last week. I asked him just to put the gift on hold because I wasn't really feeling it. And I would rather that we save money, especially if something's going to happen in the near future where I may be out of a job. So I just could not see him making that expense. I just didn't feel right about it. Especially because he wasn't going to get me anything small. Like, I knew what he was planning to get me. So it was a little pricey, and I just told him to wait. Once things are a little bit more secure, we can always revisit that. But instead, we all went to Texas Roadhouse, and we had a lovely family dinner. And I was spoiled with some gifts from Miss Mary and a lovely subscriber. I can't remember. Oh, it's over there. Somebody sent me, I have the package. Somebody sent me some Werthers in the mail. And gosh, I can't remember the name. The package is like a foot from me. But there were a couple, if you know who you are, you know who you are. Thank you for that. But the Werthers that she sent to me, the one bag was the caramel apple flavored hard ones. I love those. And then the other one was the chocolate covered caramels. She had mentioned in her letter that those were her favorite, and she absolutely loves them. And so I was like, oh, okay. And I opened the bag and I tried one, and then promptly that day I killed the whole bag. Sorry, not sorry. It was good. Oh, Susan, I'm so sorry to hear that your older daughter lost her job. Happy birthday, Sally and Karen. Hello, Kathy. Kathy Tanner is in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. So I did 3, and here I am doing a 4th one, but I will start sewing after this 4th one is starched. Family dinners does sound great. Like, honestly, it's really more about the time than it is the gifts. I mean, I do love gifts, but it was really just more about the time. And I just couldn't see, yeah, I just don't even want to talk about any of that stuff right now, so we'll let it go. All right, that is starched, and now we're going to sew these onto the sides of our blocks. Happy birthday, Febbies. Yes, Frank. Melissa Scholl is the person that sent me this jelly roll. Thank you, Melissa. All right, let's start doing this. So I am going to sew, I'm going to make my rows. And so what I'm going to do is put a sashing to the right of one of the blocks, and then I'm going to open it up and add a block. And I'm going to keep doing that until I have 4 across, because I'm going to need to make 5 rows of 4. So here we go. Thank you, Sally. She said, wishing you the best, Becca. I appreciate that. How many days till QuiltCon? Not enough. Or not too many. That's the right answer. Too many. Too many days until QuiltCon. Okay. So I'm going to move these over here. Move this over here because I'm going to need my rotary cutter and mat to trim off my sashing piece. Barbara says, my birthday was the 4th and my husband gave me the large stripology ruler. Wonderful. I hope you enjoy that. All right, so there's my white onto that side. Now I'm going to grab my next block. I'm not even worrying about which ones are going next to each other. I'm just sewing them together 4 across. And I'm going to attach it to that white strip. Ooh. Y'all, I won bobbin chicken when I was piecing these blocks together. I literally finished a seam, and then as soon as I got off of the fabric, ran out of bobbin. I was like, dang, I need to play the lottery. That's great. There we go. Look at how pretty that's going to be. Now I'm going to pick up my next piece of sashing and I'm going to put it onto the side of this. We might actually have the quilt top finished, or at least the rows assembled, before the live stream's over tonight. Oh, Patty says she made taco soup on my birthday and it was so good. I wasn't a fan, you guys. I was not a fan of the taco soup. I made it. I don't really love tomato-based soups like beef stew and vegetable soup. I'm not a fan. I'm not really a fan. And that was definitely what this soup had. It had that vibe. But the leftovers I doctored up with some heavy cream and some cream cheese and a little bit of mozzarella inside in there, and that made all the difference in the world. Does anyone here watch Beast Games? I have been, and it's so good. No, I haven't. I didn't even know that that was a thing. I think I may have heard about it, maybe. Okay. Here is the first part of my quilt. This is my top row. I'm going to add one more sashing and then my final block in this row. I've got some brown stuff on this one right here, kind of right here. I think it might wash out, but I also worry that it was scorched maybe during the pressing process, so I'm just going to move that up, and I was going to have waste off of this strip anyway, I think, so it'll be fine. Sherry says, Becca, I really love this quilt. I think it's going to be beautiful. This is a pattern that I've always wanted to make, so I'm really happy that I finally did. And I'm happy that I saved a very special fabric line that I love for it. It's not worth the risk of it not washing out. You are absolutely right, Zaza. That is exactly right. All right, I got one more block to put up here and then the first row will be done. Hello, Martha. Hello, hello, hello. Don't forget, guys, if you are a content creator here on YouTube, exclamation selfie in the chat will drop the link to your channel. So some of the folks that are here tonight can go check out your content. If they like what you're doing on your channel, they can give you a follow. How wide is the sashing? 2.5 inches. This was made entirely with jelly rolls, all 2.5-inch strips. All right, my first row is done, so I'm just going to kind of drape this up here so I have it laying nice and flat, or hanging nice and flat. And I'll move on to my next row of 4. So there's one. Now I'm going to pull up a new strip. And away we go. A couple of weeks ago, maybe it's been several weeks ago now, time sure flies, I had an issue with Ruby, my 301 that I'm sewing on here. There were a couple of things happening, and I think it actually happened on a live stream. So the next Saturday, I woke up, I got up, and I was like, I'm going to figure this out. And so I sat down with it, and I pulled it all apart, and I greased it, and I oiled it, and I did all of the things. And I also did, like, I already knew how to do it, but just to make sure that I wasn't overlooking any one thing, I pulled up one of the videos, one of the many videos on YouTube about cleaning and servicing your Singer 301, and I went through it step by step with the lady that did it, and afterwards it was sewing beautifully. I fixed my machine. I don't know what was wrong, but I know just giving it some routine maintenance made it all work. I was like, dang, I would never been able to do that with my modern baby lock. Marie H says, hi, Becca and everyone in chat. Happy belated birthday. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I celebrate all month. It's a short month. Oh boy. Ooh, this one's gonna be bigger. That's fine. All it means if one of the blocks is bigger than the others is when I go to sew all this together, I'm going to lose more of the point on those blocks than I would have on some of the other ones. And that's going to be just fine. Do you see how that extends out down here? It's going to be fine. We're just going to use it anyway. It'll be okay. All right, let's sew the next sashing on. Silverita says, hello, Becca and everyone in the chat. Shelly says, it'll quilt out. You are absolutely right, Shelly. It sure will. So I'm not stressing over any of this because it'll be just fine when it's all put together. I got a dog ear coming out of the seam. We're just going to clip it. It'll be fine. There we go. Routine maintenance does make a huge difference, doesn't it, Shelley? Dawn Stewart says, a friend was born on February 29th, and she only celebrates her birthday every leap year. She says she says it keeps her younger. There you go. There's the whole message. If only that was the way it worked, huh? Hello to everyone from Canada. I always enjoy the videos. Hello, Wendy. Aw, Martha, thank you so much for that tip. I appreciate you. She says, something little to celebrate your birthday. Love you tons, Becca. Thank you, Martha. Appreciate it. By the way, Martha, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. And don't tell anybody else. But the video that I am dropping tomorrow, so block of the month the block number 2 for the 2025 block of the month that I'm doing, free patterns and tutorial videos. The pattern is already available on my website, and the video is going to premiere tomorrow at 10 a.m. It's already scheduled to be premiered. You'll have a live chat option in there. I will try, actually I won't be in the live chat because well, maybe I'll have, it depends, because I know I have Quilt Guild's meeting tomorrow at 9 or at 10, and so the video is going to drop at 10. I just set the premiere so that you could see that it was coming at 10 a.m., but you guys will have a live chat together. Anyway, at the end of the video, you're going to want to stay and watch the whole thing, because at the end of the video, I picked several blocks, pictures of the blocks that people posted in the Facebook group for block number 1 and showcase them. And Martha, your block made it into the video. So you guys will want to make sure that if you're doing this sew along every step of the way, every time you do a block, take a picture and post it in my Facebook group, because when I go to release the next month's block, I'm always going to look back to see what your blocks look like and show them off. So this is your chance to see them. Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that tip. $4.99 buys me a cup of coffee. 1, 2, 3. I need one more. Jester says, ooh, I love the sound of your machine. Isn't it great? It's so soothing. It actually makes it easier to not talk, because I know that the sound of the machine is so pleasing that sometimes you just want to hear the machine. All right, that is my 4th square in that row, so now I have 2 of my 5 rows done. You're welcome, Martha. I'm going to put this one up back here too. And now we're going to start my next row. So here's a block. And this sashing is actually just big enough, so we're going to use that one. Ruby does purr, doesn't she? She absolutely does. Whoop. Good night, Mona. Becca, are you writing the block patterns on your site for the Quilt-a-thon? Yes, I am, Terry. They're all on my website. They're all on my website. And those, I mean, so far they've been traditional blocks. So you could find a free pattern out there for everything. But I did the math. I figured it out on my own. And I wrote the instructions and the cutting, all of that. Like, I didn't just copy somebody else. I figured it out. I wrote it down, and I told you how I would put them together. There are a million different ways that you can make these blocks. This is how I chose to do it. I'm trying to start the first few or several months with easy blocks so that if you're a beginner and you want to do this, you don't feel intimidated. I want you to feel comfortable with it, and I want you to finish the project. So I'm trying to make the blocks something that you could sew together in an hour or so, right? Or less if you're experienced. I will say I give you 4 sizes of each of those blocks: a 3-inch, a 6-inch, a 9-inch, and a 12-inch. So you can make whatever size you want. If you are a more advanced quilter, you could always make like a 4-patch of 6-inch squares, or perhaps a 16 patch of a 3-inch version. I actually saw somebody had put a small, last month the block was a churn dash, and they put a small churn dash in the center of their churn dash. I was like, okay, that's clever. So yeah, that picture made it into the video as well, because I was like, oh, that's fun. For those of you that are not following my blog on my website, you really ought to, because I'm trying to drop the PDF early. And so if you are on my newsletter, on the first of the month, I try to send out a little snippet, which is just a little newsletter that kind of lets you know what I've got planned, what I worked on the previous month, and maybe gives you some personal things about what I'm working on, and just it's kind of like a little letter that I write out to everybody. But in that newsletter on the first of the month, I, spoiler alert, drop the PDF. So it ends up right in your inbox if you are assigned to the news, if you sign up for the newsletter. That newsletter is always archived on my website under my blog. So even if you don't get the email in your inbox, you can always go find that email with the PDF on the first of the month, and it'll be under my blog on my website. You just got to look for that month's edition of Snippets. Joanna says, I like the snippets. Thank you. Vicky says, I've always been afraid of messing up on cutting. Don't be. Just dive in. If you're really worried about it, maybe don't grab fabric that you are saving for a special project. Grab something else, because you're never going to get better until you start doing it. Nobody was born perfect at this. They had to practice their craft to get where they are. So just cut it and do it. It's just fabric and it's just thread. That's what Mark always says from the marine quilt, the quilting marine, right? It's only fabric and it's only thread. VR says, I mess up on cutting all the time. It works itself out. Don't worry about it. Crystal says, are you talking about the friendship star? Yep, that's the block for month number 2 is the friendship star. Pattern is already out there on the website. The video will drop tomorrow morning. Okay, 1, 2, 3. I got one more sashing and then one more block. And then this will be row 3. Buffy says, oops, I'm late getting here. Happy birthday, Becca. Today is my birthday and I spent it shopping for fabrics. Happy birthday, Buffy. I hope you found some lovely fabrics for your sewing room. Shelly said, what? I'm not perfect? Good to know. Oh, goodness, William. William Imhoff says, Becky Dawn, what's the verdict on the Sew Yeah ruler? Slippery? Not really, no. No, and I can show you. Hold on. I think Lori Fayer actually sent this to me, and somebody had asked me to do a video comparing the rulers, and it's something that I'm like, okay, yeah, I can definitely do that. And then I just don't have the time. Plus this is the only one I got. So I can show you with a bit of scrap fabric. Let me demonstrate for you. I'll go to my top camera so you can see a nice big, I'm going to try and find the Quilter Select ruler of the same size so I can compare apples to apples, but I'm having a hard time finding that ruler. Where did I put that ruler? There's my Creative Grids ruler. That's my add a quarter ruler. That's my add an eighth ruler. What happened to my Creative Grids ruler, guys? Who took it? Is it back here? Oh, it's back here. Okay. So both of them have some sort of treatment on the back that allows the ruler to grab a hold of the fabric. I will say whatever is on the back of the So Yeah ruler, do you see that? It leaves, it's a little bit more tacky than, like, I can't pick anything up here. This feels like there's a bit of residue there, but I'm sure over time that'll go away. But they both do grip. And so let me demonstrate all three rulers. I'm going to bring my Creative Grids out because this is what I was using for years. I want to show you all three of these. Check this out. So the Creative Grids ruler, I have it laying here, and it's supposed to, like, it does have some grippies on the back, but you can see when I move it, the fabric does not move with the ruler, which can cause you to slip off and do something like that, right? Well, the Creative Grids ruler I love because when I put it down in the fabric, you see the fabric goes, it doesn't budge, it stays with the ruler. The Creative Grids, in order to do that, I really have to press very hard, and even then it still moves around. Now the So Yeah ruler, same thing. You get that same tactile grip that you get from the Quilter Select. It moved around because I moved it. If I were to take a piece of fabric that was a little bit more manageable for this, I'm literally like one finger, barely touching. And when I do that, the fabric is staying perfectly with the ruler. If I take that off and put my Creative Grids on here and I do that with just one finger, the fabric ain't going anywhere. And then if I take my Quilter Select and put it on here and do the one finger test, look at that. Like, it's not going anywhere. And so for that reason, these two would be my go-to. I don't really use the Creative Grids anymore. So if you are in the market for rulers, Quilter Select is absolutely a wonderful brand. Would I recommend the So Yeah ruler? I think I don't have to say anything. I think the product speaks for itself. The big thing with a ruler is just make sure that it holds onto that fabric, right? And then the other thing is make sure that the measurements make sense to your brain. Some rulers are easier for you to read than others, so you can see that there's quite a bit of difference between these two rulers, just in how it's laid out and numbered. It's whatever works for you. So use the one that you can read and you can understand. But both of them hold onto that fabric, I would say, equally. The only difference is there's a little bit more tackiness to the back, and I'd love to see how this one holds up over the course of a couple of years. I've had this one for 2 years now, and it's held up great. So there you go. Ah! Sorry, that was loud, wasn't it? Okay, now I've got all these things from my toolbox that are now just hanging out on my desk because I was digging for that ruler. Oh, my back itches. Donna says the dark yellow bothers me, but I love the Quilter Select. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the dark yellow, but it is easy to read the black on it. So it's honestly, I'm using it. So 1, 2, 3. Oops, I almost sewed a sashing on over here that I didn't need, when all I have to do is add one more block to this row. I remember several years ago, I had heard, I had a friend who was talking about the Quilter Select rulers. And she was like, you know, I keep hearing these people talk about quilter select, quilter select, quilter select. And at the time, like I was Creative Grids and my friend was Creative Grids. And so we were both like, no, the Creative Grids rulers are great because to me, they are easy to read. And if you held them the right way and positioned your hand the right way, they didn't move as easily, but they still could budge, right? So I remember this friend was like, well, you know, there's a quilt shop in town that sells the the Quilter Select rulers, and I'm going to go there to try it out in person, and I'll let you know what I find. So they went and they tried out the ruler, and later, when we were catching up, they said, oh yeah, I didn't really think that the Quilter Select ruler was any better than the Creative Grids ruler. And so for 2 or 3 years, literally, I never went in on a Quilter Select ruler because I remembered this friend told me they're no different than Creative Grids. And I was like, okay, they're no different than Creative Grids. Until I tried it for myself. So I was at QuiltCon in Atlanta, Georgia, my very first QuiltCon, and I walked past Five Little Monkeys. Yeah, Five Little Monkeys. And they had the Quilter Select rulers and a rotary cutter and mat all laid out. And they're like, hey, can we show you the Quilter Select rulers? And I was like, oh, okay, sure. And so I just walked up and watched the demo, and they showed me that, like what I just showed you, how the fabric doesn't move anywhere. And I went, wait a minute, what? And they were like, here, you try. And so I did it, and I was like, what the heck? This is totally different than the Creative Grids rulers. This is night and day different than the Creative Grids rulers. So the moral of that story is always, always, always see if it works for you. Don't just take what other people say, because their opinions and their thoughts might not be what works for you. Let's get back to sewing. All right, here we go. We're going to grab this one. We're going to put a sashing next to it. Oops, I got the salvage in there, so we are going to turn this around. Five Little Monkeys are awesome. Becca, if you could just buy one Quilter Select ruler, what would it be? It would not be the one that I have laid out here. It would be my 8.5, or I'm sorry, I think it's 8-inch by 12-inch ruler, because I feel like I can do most anything with this ruler. It's 8.5 by 12 inches. This is my go-to for everything. This smaller ruler, if I could buy a second ruler, it would be the 2.5 by 6.5. Between these two rulers, I can do just about anything that I want to do. Is it nice to have all of the square rulers and all the different ones and all the different sizes? Yes. Do I have all of them? No. But those are my go-to. Those two rulers, and I could do just about anything. That was from Robin. Silverita says, tomorrow I will make block 2 and they turn and try the Turnabout granny block. Donna says, I use my 6-inch by 24-inch all the time and I love it. I don't use the 24-inch, but most of my cutting is actually done in a sitting position. And I know there are several of you out there that are like, I can't cut sitting down. I just can't do it. And you know, I remember when I first took I took a quilting class early on. And I remember the quilting shop in our beginner quilting class was like, never, ever cut your fabric sitting down. And I was like, okay. And so I would get up and I'd stand up and I'd walk over to the table and I'd do the cutting standing up. And then I started thinking about, wait a minute, there are people that are they're challenged mobility challenged, whatever. They're wheelchair bound, they can't stand up. Are you saying that quilting is not inclusive and they can't do it? No, they've got to be able to do it sitting down. And so I was like, I'm going to try it sitting down. I didn't have a big surface that I could stand at that didn't hurt my back. Everything was too low for cutting. And so, and I didn't have space and I didn't like, it was a very small home. And so I had to make do, and I made do by learning how to cut sewing down. But then also, shortly after I started quilting, I started the YouTube channel, and I realized that with the setup that I had, I didn't want to have to keep moving the camera all over the place. And so I was like, well, if I keep the cameras at my desk where I'm sewing, all I got to do is cut sitting down, and then I don't have to take it over to the cutting station. So I just got proficient cutting sitting down. I can cut standing if I want to, but I have no problem cutting sitting. That was a story you never asked for, huh? Chaja says, I hate cutting. Javier says, everybody can cut the way they want to. Stand up, sitting down, whatever works for you. That's right. No rules in quilting. You do what works for you. Buy the tools that work for you. Life is too short to not enjoy the journey of making the project you're working on. Oh, yeah. Judy says there's a YouTube channel that I've seen where it's just a woman with only one arm and she does quilting. I can't remember her name or her channel, but she is amazing. Free Spirit is here and says, hello. Wait, it went away. Those blocks are pretty. Nice job, Becca. Hello, Becky from Power Tools with Thread. Hey, are you going to QuiltCon, Becky? Will you be in Phoenix? You guys want to check out, Becky, if you do exclamation selfie in the chat, it'll drop your link. Not that people don't already know who you are, because I am sure they do. But just in case the odd person out there doesn't know who you are, she does a lot of wonderful things over on her channel, and she's got live streams most days of the week in the morning while I'm getting ready for work. I usually will pop in and lurk, and sometimes I'll say, hey. So you can go watch her do some applique or some embroidery or some piecing, working on all sorts of different things over there. All right, 1, 2, 3. No, not attending QuiltCon this time. Okay, well, maybe next time. I was going to say, there's a bunch of us getting together. I could make sure you had the invite. She does have a new quilting studio, that's right. Oops, that's the wrong way. You're so funny. But I've been watching you longer than you've been watching me. So, because I've been watching you since before I had a channel, really. I remember, actually, no, I don't think that's true. I think I had a channel when I found you, but I think I had like 300 subscribers or something. It was really small. I had just started. And the reason why I remember that, I'll never forget this, because I remember I was talking about how I wanted to get the quilt quilted, but I was really struggling and I didn't want to put it through my machine, but I did have an embroidery machine. I did have an embroidery machine. Do I have that machine anymore? Nope, sure don't. Will I want one again in the future? Yep, maybe. I should never have given it away. So lesson learned, don't give your sewing machines away, folks. But I did gift it away and I regret that decision. But the moral of the story is I was talking about how it was gonna be hard to quilt it, and there was, I want to say maybe it was Teresa Louise from Teresa Louise I Quilt Too, or maybe somebody else. They were like, oh, you need to watch Becky from Power Tools with Thread because she shows you how you can quilt your quilt with an embroidery machine. And I went, what? So that's how I found you. I was like, what? You can do what now? Yeah, I think you weren't retired then, back then. Still doing both. I bet a lot of you. Barbara says, I watch Power Tools with Thread in the mornings. Wonder how many of us are watching here. Maybe a few. All right, this is row 4, which means I only have one more row to do. And then I get to sew them together. And then, wow, I didn't think, honestly, making the blocks was the longest part of this project. Okay. Oh, that's right, Becky, that's right. I forgot all about that. Our first collab was with the Creative Notions Quilt Shop, and you participated in the annual Quilt Block of the Month. I forgot all about that. Oh my goodness, I forgot about the Creative Notions subscription box. Gosh, I haven't gotten one of those in years. Oh yeah, that's right. Huh, I forgot all about that. Man, blast from the past, huh? Did I get to do like a flower block, like the tulip block or something? I'm almost done with my rows. You know what I find funny? I have gone all in on all of the robotics and the automation and the technology and the long arm, and I have gone backwards on my machine that I piece with. No computer, just a light bulb. I think that's hilarious to me. The other one does everything for me. I just program it and babysit it and work the computer, and it does all the stitching. This one is all mechanical. Sorry, I think that's giggle-worthy. Giggle-worthy. Ooh, you watch, Zaza watches Becky when she's having lunch. Marnie is awesome. Yep, from the something farmhouse, right? Something farmhouse. It was funny because Ian and I talk about this occasionally about the sewing machine. So last year at QuiltCon, oh, my needle just came unthreaded. Because I didn't use my leader and ender. Last year at QuiltCon, I had bought a TL18 because I was like, you know what? I just want another Juki. I really love my Juki. I had a 2010. And then I got it home and I was like, this will work, because then if my 2010 has to go in for service, I have the TL18. And if the TL18 goes in for service, I have the 2010. And they're the same machine with the same foot, essentially. And so I can be consistent and da 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 da. Well, after I got back from QuiltCon, I had seen this, the Singer on Facebook Marketplace. And I've really been interested in a vintage machine for a while. You can see in the camera angle behind me when I have my full screen view that I have a hand crank 99K. Oh, why are we not stitching, people? I have a hand crank Singer 99K behind me. I think it's like a, what is it? I have it written down. It is a 1935 99K. It was made May 10th, 1935. And there you go. Don't ask me why I keep the Post-it note right there, but I do. Anyway, that was a gift for me from my husband it was a Christmas gift the first year we moved into this house. And I don't really want to do a quilt with a hand crank machine, but I love the way it looked. And so it's really just more a decorative piece here. I clean it out every once in a while, but I don't sew with it. So anyway, I was talking with Bill at QuiltCon in Raleigh last year. Oh, why are you making these noises, Ruby? What the heck is going on? You don't sound happy. Ooh, you don't look happy. We're going to have a talk. Hold on. She's requiring some of my attention. Bobbin's good. That's good. Machine is threaded properly. Get a scrap piece of fabric. It's funny how once you get used to a machine, you can tell it's not doing something right by the way it sounds. There, that's fine. Yeah, that looks good, sounds good. All right. Anywho, so I was talking with Bill at QuiltCon in Raleigh about wanting to get a featherweight, and I wanted like a white featherweight. And he's like, you don't want a featherweight, it'll go too slow for you. I was like, you know what, I do believe you, because I had one, I sewed on it once, it went too slow, and I let Mary permanently borrow it. He's like, no, what you need is a 301. I was like, a what now? And so he's like, no, you need a 301. That's what I sew on, da, 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 da. And I was like, oh, okay. And so I came home. Ian was like, yeah, I have a 301 too. And he's like, they're great machines. And I was like, oh. And so I started looking around on Facebook, and I was just kind of keeping my eye open. And if I saw one, I just check out the price. Well, I happened to see one about a month or so after I got back from QuiltCon for $50 on Facebook Marketplace. And I was like, done, I'll be there tomorrow. So I went and grabbed it, and I didn't sew with it as soon as I picked it up. I just grabbed it, I brought it back here, and I sat with it for a while. My intention was that I wanted to send it down to Bill's dad to paint the machine, because his dad paints machines custom colors, and I knew I wanted to get mine painted. And so I sat on it for a few months, and then eventually I bit the bullet and sent it down to Bill to paint. And when he sent it back, I was so excited to sew on it. I pulled it out and I put it on the table and I started sewing with it, and I was just bit by the bug. And it's funny because what Ian and I talk about frequently, and I think Mary has mentioned this too a couple of times, is that they thought once I got the 301 out that I would play with it for a while, and then the novelty would wear off and I would be back to my Juki. And here I am almost, well, not a year later, because I didn't start sewing on her until June of 24. But here I am several months later working with this and using the Juki, which is still, it is fully set up. It is right there, and she gets a lot of use. But for my videos and my live streams and my just relaxing sews, I like sewing on her. She's not super, super fast. She doesn't have the power that the Juki does. The Juki is a workhorse, and sometimes there's projects that are only made for her. But what's nice about the What's nice about Ruby is the way she sounds. There's just something about the way she sounds that's soothing to me. I'm out of sashing and I just need one more piece. Terry singing, oh, Ruby, don't take your love to town. Chicka, 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 chicka. Yeah, she's a great machine. She is a great machine. It's funny because I took her to my Alabama retreat last year and all of my friends were down there. And there was one, she didn't know that I was bringing my 301, but there was one down there, there was a friend down there, Leanne, who had a 301. And so I think she was going to sew on something else. I think she was going to sew on her featherweight. But then when I pulled my 301 out, she got excited and pulled her 301 out. So she was sewing on hers and I was sewing on mine. And then I left and a few of the girls from down there all messaged me and were like, hey, I got a 301. Hey, I got a featherweight. So I'm anxious to see, I'm excited to see this year when we all get together in Alabama, how many of them are going to be sewing on vintage machines instead of the high-end new machines. How many are going to be sewing on those vintage machines? That's going to be a lot of fun. I know there's one girl, Connie, has always sewn on her, she always sews on a featherweight. So yeah, like I know she will be. And then I think there's a couple others that might be bringing vintage machines. Mary may bring her featherweight. And I don't know if you guys saw, but I actually have a featherweight now. Did you see that? Up there? Yeah. Right there, my little featherweight. I call her Ella. Cruella when she's being bad. I don't sew on her often because she does go a little slow, but she's in pristine condition. She's a 1956 22K, 21K, 21, 20, so one of the two. She was made in Great Britain. And she was very well taken care of. They were built well. The older machines were definitely built well. They were built to last. Give them some oil and some grease, and they will run for a while. Vicky says, my Chihuahua loves it. The sound puts him out. He is totally crashed out. This is the last seam for row 4. Or 5, row 5, sorry. What I said, not what I meant. All right. Now that I have my 5 rows together, it's time to start sewing them together, but I need a 2.5-inch strip in between each of those rows. There's 5 rows, so I'm going to need four of those sashing strips. Now, according to the pattern from Missouri Star, or the tutorial from Missouri Star, they just did a strip, a 2.5-inch strip with the fabric in between each one of those. So I am going to starch 4 strips and we'll see if we can make that go on the bottom of those. And again, I'm starching this because all the other fabric is now starched in my quilt and I just want everything to lay together nicely. So Terry says, I love my 301, my 201, my 221s, and my 1591. Oh, and my Spartan. Oh, I have a Spartan too. Those rows are beautiful, aren't they? They're so pretty. I love how the fabric looks. It's the fabric that I love with this. Oh, love it. I can't wait to quilt it. I need to get the Atomic Starburst off of the long arm so that I can get it quilted. This will just be incentive to get that quilt done sooner because I haven't really worked on it in a week. Bye, Carrie. See you later. have a great weekend. Ooh, Best Press Yellow. How does that smell? A little like citrus. It smells a little like cleaning. Like it's very, I love like, it's a lemon scent, so it kind of reminds me of like cleaning agents that have like that citrus smell to it. Martha says, question for everyone. What do you call the little pieces of thread that gets on your shirt while you sew? My husband laughs when he finds bits of thread all over the house. I don't know. Parasites? I mean, because that's what they are, right? They're just feeding on you. Maybe that's not a good term. Maybe something else. They're hitching a free ride. What are those fish that follow around sharks and eat like the scraps? Maybe we could call them those. Whatever that fish is. You guys know what I'm talking about? I hope you find a pattern that has straight lines and bubbles to match the gingham and the polka dots. Ooh, yeah. I could see that. Remoras? Somebody just said annoying. Annoying. Bill says, I call them blessings. Krill? I think they're remoras. I call them hitchhikers. Quilter's glitter, Mary Jane says. Quilter's glitter. That's great. Oh. Rats, random annoying threads, Mark said. Remora. I think the fish is called a remora. Thank you guys. Becca, I wish my studio was like yours, Debbie says. Mine are 2 small rooms, one for fabric and cutting table, and the other one for my machines and accessories. There's nothing wrong with that. You have a fabric room. That'd be great. I just have a fabric wall. Doop doop doo 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 doo. Starching fabric takes so long, takes so long, takes so long. Gremlins, Crafty Pat says, they are all over. Gremlins, they are all over. Gremlins move my scissors, hide my seam ripper, and get my fabric everywhere. See, sewing gremlins. Da 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 da. Ba-dum, bum, ba-dum. Starch the fabric, da, 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 da. So I'm not going to get the borders on this tonight. I can tell you that right now. What I will be able to do is get the rows sewn together. And then after that, my homework for the weekend is going to be to put the inner border on, which is just going to be another 2.5 white of the same fabric that I've used for the background and the sashing. And then to pick out my border fabric and sew that on. So next week, I should be able to show you at least the quilted quilt top I'm sorry, at least the pieced quilt top, but maybe it will be fully quilted. We'll have to see. I doubt it. I just don't think that I will get the Atomic Starburst finished in time to be able to do this for next week. But I guess I could take that one off and load it back on when I'm ready. But there's no rush to get this one quilted, so we'll see. This is not on a deadline. Okay. Hey, Donna. T.A. Beck. Da Beck. That's what the boss yells. Da da. Da da. I love it when you're singing your melody, VR says. But I'm singing a nursery rhyme in my head because I heard it today with my granddaughter. That's awesome. All right, let's see if this width of fabric strip is going to match up with that row, if it's going to fit. We'll find out. Da 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 da. Bum, 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 bum. There we go. Oh, no, it sure won't work. I'm going to have to piece these. Thanks, Jenny Doan. You are definitely not wide enough. Okay, so I'm going to pause here and attach a piece onto the end. So look, like, see? I don't know Spanish, no. Oh, T.A. I get it. Dead air, dead air. I get it. You goob. DA is a short for dead air. It's a yeah. I don't even know if I'm not trying to make anybody sound bad, so I'll just laugh. I get it. I get it now. Thank you, Jebel. You did make me laugh. I forgot all about that. Because I was like, da, darling, da. I was like, what? I don't know what that means. Must be a joke that I didn't get. And turns out it was a joke that I should have got and still didn't get. Oh, goodness. All right. I love the aprons you're wearing, Becca. That's a great way to avoid quilter's glitter on street clothes. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of aprons when I'm sewing so that when I'm ready to, if I want to get up and go somewhere, I can just get up and go and I don't have the threads hanging off of me everywhere I go. And today, you know, like, my hair's up in a ponytail, but it was down and it was done. But who needs to have their hair done when they're sewing? It goes in a ponytail. It gets out of your face. I can't stand my hair falling. I want to be able to see while I'm working. So, yeah, no, I was in the office today. And so I've got on a nice shirt that I really don't want to get threads all over. Plus the shirt can be, it's a V-neck. And depending on the camera angle, it can be a little low cut. At this camera angle, it might look a little too low cut. And we don't need to be flashing all of YouTube. So we're going to cover it up. Be a little modest. I was wearing this on, oh gosh, you guys, for my birthday, I got these hoodies that have holes, thumb holes in the sleeves. and they're half zip hoodies. So they're a little dressier than just like a big fleece hoodie that you get from Walmart or something. I got 2 of them and I have been wearing them everywhere. So one of the nice things about the office that I work in is I get to wear casual clothes unless I have to go to a meeting off site. And so we get to wear jeans and stuff. So I wore a t-shirt, a nice t-shirt underneath one of those nice hoodies. And my jeans today, oh, so good. So yeah, even this shirt was covered up at work. Now I get it. Yep. Okay, so here's the first row. Now the conundrum that I'm up against is I had to add about 4 inches of extra fabric onto the end of each of my strips. So I've got a piece left over here. This is not starched, but I am going to add a little bit to each one of those. I'm going to starch this first. And then I will have the sashings the right size. As Zaza says, my hair is long and now I just tie it back most of the time. I need to get my hair cut tomorrow. Zoe has an appointment to get her hair cut at 2 o'clock. I want to get mine cut, but I'm going to wait until QuiltCon is a little bit closer and then I'll get it cut before we go to QuiltCon. I am in desperate need of a haircut. I have not had my hair cut since August or September. And it's got, when it gets past a certain length, it just keeps going in a ponytail. Okay, I'm going to set this aside and we're going to attach another row to the bottom of this one. There we go. Whoop, whoop. They come complete with sound effects. This quilt's gonna be so pretty, so pretty, so pretty. I don't care if it don't line up. It's gonna be pretty anyway. I'm just gonna sew all of it together. Hope I can make that one stick. Ha 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 ha. There we go. Uh-oh, what happened? I don't think Becca saw my comment. What was your comment? Somebody want to repeat? Lady Fair says, anybody have experience with the Laura Star system? I'm tempted, but it's so pricey. I do not. But I can tell you Tracy from the Sewing Channel, I think, has one. Di from Sister Chicks Quilting, I think, has one. And Beth from Goody Goods, I think, has one. So if you were to look around, they might be able to answer some of those questions for you. No, I didn't see it. Oh gosh. You guys said something in the chat and y'all have an inside joke and now I'm not part of it and I feel left out. We've got wonkiness because I didn't square all my blocks up. Ooh, this is, okay, we're gonna stop because this is bad. Let me show you. I guess it doesn't even matter, right? Was your hoodies from 7 Degrees? No, I don't, they were a birthday gift. I think they're off Amazon. This row down here is way off by like, do you see that? Because I didn't square things up. So it just kept, yeah. Okay, I've got a couple of things that I could do. So I'm going to pause, and I'm not going to put these together because I want to show you how I'm going to try to recover from this. And this is going to have to be something I work on over the weekend. When I'm laying this out, do you see how the sashing here isn't lining up here? And it's not lining up here. And it's not lining up really here, but this is where I started. You can tell because these are matched up. And this was just a little bit off. And then this was a little more off. And then this was a little more off. And it just kept exaggerating and putting it out. And so I can actually recover from this. I'm going to end up ripping the seam, but here's what I'm going to do. I am going to measure the width of these, right? The width of the rows. And I'm going to make my sashing that width, and I can pin all this together. I'll start by pinning in the middle, pinning at either end, and then distribute, and that should work. That should even out any fullness that I have in the rows between each other. The other thing that I could do is measure what the blocks are. And remember when I measured them earlier, I said they were around 11 inches, I think. I only measured a couple of them, but I could make a bunch of 11-inch pieces and pull a 2.5 inch by 2.5 inch square for some cornerstones. So those could be the posts. So I could have a spot of color every so often, like right in here, and that would kind of make a little secondary design. But what that little spot of color will allow me to do, if I press it out away from the color, then I can nest the seams. And so I'll be able to make sure that all my blocks are perfectly lined up with one another, whereas doing it this way might be a little hard. So if honestly, like I would leave it like that, that's not bad. The problem that I'm going to have is there's like a good almost inch off over here. And so if I cut that off, it's going to end up like this. It's not just going to be that the tip is cut off like these. It's going to be almost half of the block. And I know I don't want that. So I'm going to save this for a little surgery tomorrow to recover from. But we made a lot of progress because I've got all of my rows sewn together, and all I've got to do is rip out a couple of seams and then recover with the sashing that's going to go in between the rows. But I do want to give you an idea of what this is going to kind of look like when it's together. So I'll just kind of step out of the way a little bit, and I'll move my chair. And this is somewhat of what you're going to see when the quilt is all put together. I'm going to have spacing in between. It's going to be 4 across by 5 down, but that's going to be it. Yeah, I did drop a row on the floor, so let me pick that up and I'll put it up here with the others. There we go. There we go. We will recover from it this weekend. Yeah, I think I'm going to do the spot of color. I have got a little bit of yardage, and I've got some fat quarters of this line, so I might just pick out one of my favorite fabrics, just one, and just cut those into 2.5 inch squares and combine them with the white sashing just to give it a little pop. Oh, that water's great. It is pretty. It is pretty. Somebody did ask, is block number 2 tomorrow? It is. It is a friendship star block. Really, really easy to do. And don't forget, I give you the 4 sizes for that block in my pattern, 3, 6, 9, and 12. So you can make whatever size you want, or you can make several of one size and put it into that 12-inch block. So definitely make sure to come back in 12 hours for the video. That will drop at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. There will be a live chat component for it, but I can't promise I will be in the live chat, but you guys will be able to talk to each other because it's set up to be a premiere. So the video will release tomorrow morning. Pattern is already out there if you want to go grab your fabric. Was there anything else? I don't think so. I think that's it. I think those are all the announcements that I have. Yeah. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope you get a lot of sewing done. And I'll see you guys all next week or tomorrow morning if you're doing the block of the month with me. See you guys later. Bye, friends.